Welcome to Golden Nuggets, where truth and wisdom get married and bring forth enlightenment. I want to speak to you today about our behaviors and mindsets that are blocking your blessings. Today is all about examination and self-reflection. It is time to tackle your greatest enemy, the one that attacks us from within. It's time to elevate and evolve. I am Ezra, A.K.A. the voice of reason. Over and out. Welcome to another edition of Golden Nuggets. And if this is your first time joining me, welcome. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you're always notified when I upload a new video. And in today's session, we're going to be talking about the greatest enemy, which is self-sabotage. So let's get into this. And the first thing that we have to all be aware of, accept, and fully digest is the fact that you are the gatekeeper of your own destiny. You are the person who will determine the outcome of your future. You are the only one that has the final say in your health, in your well-being, in your mindset, in your attitude, and where you go in life. And once we take ownership of this, once you fully conceptualize this fact, then you are able to make active steps to change your life, your outcomes, and your future. But it all starts from within. And once you can take this ownership and accept that the buck stops with you and that you have the power and the ability to make decisions and take ownership of your life, everything changes because you stop giving your power over to other people. And that is key. So when we're talking about responsibility, it really means to be response-able. And it's really key that from this very moment, you make a choice to be accountable for all areas of your life. That you recognize that you are the person who is going to get you out of your problem. And you are the person who is going to get you to the place that you want to be. And so whether it's in your relationships, whether it's in your finances, whether it's with your health, whether it's finding your vision, understanding your why, the choices and the decisions that you make, any actions that you take, it all comes down to you. Not your brother, not your mother, not your father, not your partner, not your boss, not your colleague. You. And when you take that responsibility, although it may seem hard and difficult in the beginning, you actually take ownership of your life and you stop blaming and putting the responsibility onto other people for managing and taking control of your life. And this is the tipping point. This is where you become powerful, unstoppable, because you now are at the helm of the ship of your future. You make the decisions. You make the choices. You take responsibility. And there is nothing like it. Because the price of greatness is responsibility. Show me one leader, one champion, one world record holder, one successful business that got there by saying, you need to do this for me. That achieved that greatness by holding other people responsible for their future. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. And so I want you to recognize whatever you want, whatever greatness, whatever success, it will only come out of you being responsible, responsible, taking responsibility for your life, for your decisions, for your health, for your well-being, for your future. It's key. It's key because responsibility is accepting that you are the cause and the solution of the matter. It's recognizing that you have the power to change how you feel. It's your God-given right and a power that you have, that your thoughts create your destiny. And no one can force you to think a thought. It's down to you. And so as a result of those thoughts, it creates the energy that makes you feel zapped or makes you feel energized to go forth and do what you need to do. But it's important that you understand you are the strength or weakness that is causing your victory or failure. And so once we can take responsibility and be responsible, everything changes. And so we have to talk about this, the elephant in the room, self-sabotage. Self-sabotage, the things that we do that minimize us, the acts that we operate in that causes our own demise, the thought process that we entertain that weaken us, self-sabotage. And this is when we are actively or passively taking steps to prevent ourselves from reaching our goals. Sometimes we don't even realize we're doing it. It's so subtle. And it's the accusations, the fears, the worries, the anxieties that make us withdraw, which makes us not speak up, which makes us do things that we know in the long run are going to affect and hinder us. And this behavior, this mindset, this attitude can affect nearly every aspect of our lives if we are not careful. It affects our relationships, makes you say those things you shouldn't say or not say the things that you know you should say. It affects your career goals, making decisions in the heat of the moment, doing things that is not going to benefit you long term, doing things that do not have any future values, although they may bring present pleasures, or even your personal goals. If you want to lose weight, but you're eating a whole tub of Haagen-Dazs. If you want to be fit and healthy, but you're not sleeping right. All of these things that we do, it's the small things that build up over time and create self-sabotage. What are you doing right now in your life? What situation or circumstance are you facing where your own self-sabotage is adding to the problem? Where your own mindset of negative thinking is zapping your energy? What goals do you have where your behaviors do not line up with you achieving those goals? We have to be willing to look at the man and the woman in the mirror. Because if we do not address these self-sabotaging behaviors, success would always be something in the wind that you can never catch. It's time for reflection and introspection. Only then can we make those changes that we need to make. And I love this quote. We sabotage the great things in our lives because deep down, we don't feel worthy of having the great things. What mindsets, what mind traps, what subconscious thoughts are causing you to sabotage yourself? Where is it within that you don't feel worthy of something? Where you say you're not good enough, you don't deserve? What is it that you're holding on to? What mindset, what energy is that releasing out that is causing you to actually operate in certain behaviors that don't serve you? We have to address these things. We have to look at these things. If you are constantly doing something that you know does not serve you, there is a fault behind that that is influencing your behavior. There is a belief system that you have about yourself that is limiting and stopping you, because all behavior is belief driven. Anything that you are consistently doing, there is a belief system behind it. There is a thought process. There is a value-based mindset that you are operating out of. And we need to address it when that belief system is birthing self-sabotage. So I want us to actually explore some of these methods of self-sabotage, so you can be clear on what I'm talking about here, so you can be clear on what you need to address within yourself. Because awareness is the first step of any change, of any deliverance, of any breakthrough. And so I want to make sure that you are clear and aware on what you need to address. And so the first one is procrastination, the habit of delaying and putting off. The mindset of mañana, mañana. I will do it tomorrow. I will do it later. I will do it when. And this sabotage is often birthed out of fear and anxiety and worry. Putting off for tomorrow what should be done today. Because we don't put off and delay the things that we really like. We don't put off and delay the things that we feel confident about. And we don't put off and delay the things that we truly value. And so when we have this mindset of procrastination, it's important to understand there is something, a belief system, a mindset that says, this is too hard, this is too difficult, I'm not sure I'll be able to do this, this is too hard, this is too much for me. There is a belief system behind that that makes you procrastinate. And it's important that you be aware of what are those thoughts. What is that mindset, that attitude, that thing that you're entertaining that is holding you back? Because procrastination is the root cause to never getting what you truly desire. Because you're not putting in the work. You're not taking responsibility. Remember, the price for greatness is responsibility. Being able to push past how you feel to do what needs to be done. The second self-sabotage is outbursts. When action precedes thoughts. When you have no self-control and say however you feel. And these outbursts can be so destructive to your work, to your relationships, to your well-being. And whenever we are highly charged by emotions, we are lowly influenced by logic. And as a result, our behaviors often afflict us and cause stress and worry and anxiety in our lives. And so we have to be very careful of the outbursts, these behaviors and mindsets that make us push the effort button, that cause for us to do things that only hurt and harm us in the long run. Outbursts. What outbursts are you operating out of? What outbursts are hindering you? What outbursts are affecting your relationships and your connections and your well-being? It's time to look in the mirror and be responsible to change our outcomes. The third one is the pushover. Being able to be influenced, manipulated, and controlled by others. Being a yes man or a yes woman. Doing things, being a part of things, and saying things that violate your own values and morals for the sake of gain. When you are a pushover, it's very hard to value yourself. When you are a pushover, it's very hard to be committed to things. When you are a pushover, it's very hard to be responsible because you're always changing, always conceding, and always doing things for the sake of others rather than for your own value-based system, for your own well-being, and for what works for you. And whenever you do that, you create inner wars within yourself because you are violating what's important to you. And so it's really important. If this is one of your self-sabotage, it is time to take responsibility. It is time to start to say no. It is time to start doing what is right for you, what aligns with your values, with your GPS system, which is your internal morals, principles, and values. Then we have being self-critical. And this lines up with the pushover very much. Because when you are doing these things, you will often say to yourself, I'm an imposter, I'm a phony, because you're doing things against who you truly are. But even if you're not a pushover, people still experience being self-critical, being very self-judgmental, always looking at your faults, always highlighting what could have been done differently. And don't get me wrong, it is important for us to be able to see where we can grow and where we can develop and where we can do things differently. That's healthy. But when we're self-critical, we're always over-examining the negative. We experience what evolutionary scientists call the negative bias, where we place a high priority on focusing on the negative thing at the detriment to the positive things that you are doing and that are evident in your life. When we are self-critical, we harm ourselves, we afflict ourselves, we speak negatively about ourselves. We focus and ruminate on what we can't do, on what we haven't done, and what we could do better. And this creates an imbalance within, and it causes for us to not be able to value our assets, our strengths, and our abilities. If this is your self-sabotage, it will ruin your confidence. It will destroy your your self-compassion, and it will uproot your ability to see your value and worth. So if this is one that you are recognizing today, it is time to start to give yourself affirmations, to start to see yourself from your positive points, to keep a victories diary. And when I say victory, I mean victories of things that you have done, things that's gone well, things that you have achieved, so that when that self-critic, when that mindset, attitude, and force seeks to consume you, you have something to fight back with. You have something to validate yourself with. The next one is poor choices. Poor choices. Life is built on choices. And if we are consistently making poor choices, we will have a poor life. We will have poor finances. We will have poor wealth. We will have poor relationships. And often when our mindsets are focused on what we want now, what I call the pig, the problem of immediate gratification, we will often have long-term consequences. Because when we look down the line, when we see into the future, when it gets further on in our life, we'll realize that those decisions wasn't value-based. They wasn't focused on what was going to be beneficial to us long-term. And so ask yourself today, what poor choices have you made over this week? What poor choices have you made over this month? What poor choices have you made over this year? How have they served you? How have they afflicted you? Were they good in the moment and then afterwards only brought you fear, worry, turmoil, anguish, pain? Because the more and more that you operate out of these poor choices is the more consequences that you would experience in your life. And so we have to be in this for the long-term gain. We have to be able to reflect and have what I call bifocal vision, so we can see what the need is now, but also what is the need long term. How something may benefit us in the moment, but bring consequences long term, and how something may be a consequence now, but in the long term will benefit us. But when we are governed by poor choices, we will inevitably have a poor life. And the final one that I want to speak about today, and there is many more, but I'm only just touching on these 6 for now. And the last one is emotional eating. This form of self-sabotage captivates many people, men and women. And it is emotional eating. Eating based on how we feel. Eating based on the emotions that are presenting themselves within us. Eating to help ourselves get over things. And so we can have any kind of justification that's going to make us eat something. Whether it's because we feel happy, so we're eating, or hormonal, so we're eating, or because something has happened and we feel angry and frustrated, so we're eating. Or whether it's because it's an event or a time of the day, or, because you've been drinking too much. All of these different reasons and justifications, but the end result is self-sabotage. If you're wanting to eat a certain way, feel a certain way, be a certain way, whether that's weight, physique, or just feeling good within yourself, we have to be mindful of what we're putting into ourselves. And so when feelings and emotions is the driving force and influence behind our decision making, we would always make the wrong choices. And whether you feel an emotion, a desire, or have a craving, it is always a choice whether you're going to do it or not. And if emotional eating is your self-sabotage, whether you're always fighting 1 minute doing well and then the next minute you're not, eating the way you want to, and then the next minute you find you're eating things that's only going to make you deviate from your goals and your plans and your desires, then this is the beast that you need to face: emotional eating. And the way that we address and deal with this is dealing with the emotions in a more healthy way. It's being able to manage and express ourselves rather than going into ourselves and eating to manage the pain, eating to comfort ourselves. And so it's really important that we are aware of these 6 areas of self-sabotage that have the potential to really causing us to become the biggest enemy in our lives, the enemy of self. So let's look at a behavioral plan that you can start to operate out of. Regardless of what it is in your life, whether one of those 6 areas or something else that you have identified as what you are using as your self-sabotage, I want to give you some simple steps of what you can do to change that. So let's just say, for example, in this case, it's someone who is self-critical, okay? Something that many people struggle with. So step one is starting to pay attention to your thoughts. This is key because your thoughts are the fundamental thing that is going to influence your life, because your thoughts are always in cahoots with your emotions. They are twins that always work together. When you think something, it's often because of something you have felt in the past or something you're feeling in the present. And the feelings that you are feeling will then influence and anchor you to the thoughts that you are entertaining. So starting to pay attention to your thoughts is key to empowering you to what is going on within you. Step two is to change the channel of rumination by being active. When we are self-critical, we are ruminating over things that went wrong, things that didn't go according to plan, things that have made us feel low, down, and negative about ourselves. And we are ruminating and ruminating and ruminating on that thought. The truth of the matter is that 70% of the thoughts that we think are negative. 70%. And so when we ruminate, it's very easy because of the negative bias for us to just think and think and think and become more self-critical. And so we have to change the channel, switch that channel around to positive thoughts, switch that channel around to what you can do to change it, switch that channel around to what you have learned from the mistake. Because when you lose the game, don't lose the lesson. Step three is examine the evidence and replace exaggerated or false negative thoughts. You see, there is so many times when we are operating out of the ants, the automatic negative thoughts that keep us focusing on things that ain't true, that make us exaggerate things that ain't actually there. And it causes for us to get stuck in that loop of self-critical thinking. And so it's time to examine that. Where is the facts behind that? Where is the evidence base behind these thoughts? When you're telling yourself you always get it wrong, is that really true? And it's important that we begin to examine the evidence and take stock of what the truth is. And then the fourth stage is that you create your own affirmations list of powerful quotes to use in your defense. You see, if someone is attacking me physically and they're punching me, and I just stand there and take it, I'm going to end up bruised, battered, and damaged. But if I learn techniques to counter, to block, and to strike back, I am able to defend myself against that attacker. Well, when we're talking about being self-critical, you are still being attacked, but psychologically and emotionally. And when you create your affirmations list, that is your way to counter and defend yourself against this greatest enemy, the enemy of self-sabotage, that seeks to bruise you internally and emotionally. And so it's so important, develop your list. Have as many as you want. Have things that you would say to yourself when you're feeling low, when you're feeling despondent, when you make a mistake, when things don't go according to plan. Have things that you use. And I often say, let it start one of three ways. I will, I can, and I am. And whatever you add after that will be empowering and will be tools that you can use to counter the enemy of your negative thoughts. And the end result is self-efficacy. Believing in yourself, valuing yourself, and saying those things to produce the thoughts the feelings, and the emotions that will help you to overcome being self-critical. And this process can be used in whatever that thing is that you are trying to address. And so one of the key things in this time, and that what may even have been, you may have been dealing with while listening to this, is self-denial. Self-denial. Denial stands for don't even know I am lying. And sometimes we are lying to ourselves. We're saying, that's not me, I'm okay. No, that's not a problem for me. I've addressed that. But when we stay in denial, we are never able to really overcome that situation. So I want to encourage you, don't be in denial of your shortcomings. If there is things that you can't seem to overcome, if there's problems that regularly seem to occur, if there's situations and circumstances that often seem to get the better of you, there is something within yourself, an area of self-sabotage that is allowing that to happen. And the truth of the matter is, most people would learn from their mistakes if they wasn't so busy denying them. Do not deny what reality has proven to be consistently affecting your life. Remember, the price for greatness is responsibility. And responsibility means owning and taking ownership of where you are not at right now, where things that you are doing, thinking, and saying are causing you to have a limiting belief system, to be fearful, to be anxious, and to procrastinate from doing what you know you should do. Because once we accept that and begin to make, a behavioral plan to address that, only then can we begin to manifest our greatness. And so, self-awareness is key. Self-awareness, having awareness of where you are at emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually is key. And when we do this, when we become self-aware, it is the catalyst for self-empowerment. Because once you are aware of things, you can make active steps to change things to empower yourself. And when we are self-empowered, we are able to stand apart from our own mind and objectively examine our thoughts, our feelings, and our moods. And this is where things become transformational. When you are aware that you are holding on to a thought, a mindset, a mind trap that is limiting, harming, and afflicting you, and you make steps to change that strategically. And as you do, you begin to do things differently, think things differently, and act differently, which creates an empowerment within, because it then reinforces you to repeat that behavior, which becomes a habit. And that habit makes you transform. And so we have to, the four key things here is self-awareness, which creates self-empowerment. When we are able to objectively examine things, which creates a transformational change. And for you today, if you start to become self-aware of the little foxes that spoil the vine, of the little chinks in your chain, of those, niggling mindsets and intruding thoughts that make you procrastinate, that make you doubt yourself, and begin to address them, you will see a transformation happen in your life. And so, as this great quote says, get out of your own way. Get out of your own way with your limiting beliefs, with your double-mindedness, with your procrastination, with your thoughts and poor choices. Get out of your own way. Greatness is within you. There is so much that you can do, that you were created to do. But you have to get out of your own way. And often, we're our own worst enemy when working towards our goals. Because what you tell yourself, what you think about yourself, and how you treat yourself determines your future and your reality. And so, as we wrap this up, I encourage you, don't be a victim to the curse of a half-lived life. Don't just, passively make it through this life. Thrive. Do things with determination. Be proactive in making changes in your life. Address the issues that are holding you back. Because at the end of this journey, you do not want to be burdened by guilt, remorse, and regret because you didn't do, because you didn't say, because you didn't act. And so today, I know this has been a hard message. I know for some of you that right now you would be afflicted by certain things, but this is the salt that is needed in this season for your seasoning. Because as we know with salt, that, when you get a cut in your mouth or if you bit your tongue or something, that old term remedy of salt water where you mix the salt in the water and you gargle it, it burns in the beginning, but it brings forth a swift healing. And I want you to be healed from emotional, mental, and even spiritual illnesses, limitations, and destructive attitudes that is stopping you from achieving who, what, and how you can become. So stay blessed and be focused and take it a day at a time in addressing and dealing with whatever has come up in your heart and mind while listening to this message. And so I want to encourage you, if you found this useful, hit that subscribe button and check out other videos that I have dedicated to empowering you and helping you as you navigate through life. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it created a moment of introspection for you. Leave a comment below and let me know one nugget that you will take away from what you've just heard. And make sure you share this video with a friend or a loved one who you know needs to hear this. And check out my channel for many other videos dedicated to supporting and empowering you to manifest your greatness. And remember to subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to hit the notification bell, as that is me calling you for our next one-to-one. So as always, stay blessed, remain grateful, and manifest your greatness.